Fostering connection through vulnerability, the People Pleaser podcast validates struggles, celebrates growth, and inspires positive change. Together, let's embrace authenticity, challenge patterns, and evolve with compassion. Hello, and welcome to the People Pleaser podcast. It's Corie, your host, and I am reporting live from a new environment for the pod. I'm actually dog sitting and cat sitting this weekend. And it's actually been this experience that has inspired this episode. And that is because I'm house sitting for a family that I work for. So I am in this home 4 days a week, supporting the family on the day-to-day. And when they go out of town, I house sit. And it's a pretty good setup for me because not only do I know the family really well, but I know the animals really well. I know the house really well. And I think it works for them too, just to have like that consistency. I was out walking the dog this morning and I shared this on my stories, but it was actually a great opportunity for me to reflect that in the 3 years that I've been working for this family, I've house sat for them a number of times. And today was the first time that I realized that I'm not burnt out. And that I'm actually present in this experience and enjoying this experience of house sitting. And that just the way I was kind of navigating being in the space and packing for the weekend, all of it just felt a lot more grounded. And I was realizing that it's of no fault to the family or to the actual experience of house sitting, but because I've had so much on my plate and I've been operating from a pretty burnt out place for the last few years, I wasn't really able to approach this experience of house sitting with ease. It always felt like there were sacrifices being made and that I was taking on a little bit more than I could chew, even though I still wanted to do it. So yeah, the topic I want to discuss today is just in the expansion of my own capacity and how I'm realizing that I'm actually shifting out of this perpetual state of burnout. I'm coming out of burnout, y'all. I've gotten used to the idea that I'm burnt out, as if it's a part of my identity. I honestly didn't even know it was possible to come out of it, as I've always kind of attributed it to my line of work. For as long as I can remember, it's as long as I'm in this line of work, being burnt out just kind of comes with the territory. However, recently, even just in the last few months, I've noticed a shift in my capacity, an ability to take on more when I was once so accustomed to cutting things out or taking on less and less. And the truth is my job hasn't changed and the way I approach my job hasn't changed, but everything around my job has changed, leading me to believe that it was never really my job causing my burnout. In the last 8 years, I have left a marriage. Soon after, I found myself in a very uncalibrated relationship. I then met my husband, Brian, and have pursued a long-distance relationship with him for the last 3 years. I started to pursue immigrating to the United States. I lost my dad. I took on the responsibility of my dad's house, which I now co-own, which is just so wild. And I am now just days away from my immigration interview where living in the States is a real possibility. This is a lot. And there have been some serious highs and some serious lows, all packed into the entirety of my 30s. When I left my first marriage, I was not in a good place at all, and I hadn't been in a good place. Part of that is due to the marriage and that specific relationship, but a lot of it is how I was taking care of myself, or let's be honest, how I wasn't taking care of myself. There were serious themes of self-abandonment throughout that relationship that carried forward into my next relationship. And both of these relationships had many blessings, but I will tell you, the way they facilitated that sense of like rock bottom was one of the biggest blessings of it all. And I'm not here to glorify the bottom at all. It sucked. These were some of my lowest moments. However, I somehow mustered the strength and the willingness to not give up on love and to also not give up on myself because I knew there had to be more. When I met Brian, I was on the tail end of some really hard times and my confidence was not where I wanted it to be. And I'm not here to tell you that Brian saved me because it just doesn't work that way. But there were some profound teachings in the nature of our long distance relationship. I never, ever, ever, ever thought that I would be one to consider a long distance relationship. My attachment style was clingy, very insecure, and I won't fully take the blame on this. I've had people in my life that have definitely facilitated these insecure feelings, and all in all, it's been a bad combination. But with Brian, there's been so much trust and security from the jump. He's an excellent and consistent communicator. We knew early on that we both wanted this, and we both put the effort in to prioritize one another. And by the end of this month, July 2024, we will have been together for 3 years, and not a day has gone by where we haven't talked to each other on the phone or FaceTime. But the other side of things is that being long distance has pushed me into my own independence and allowed me the opportunity to continue living my own life. And it's given me the opportunity to just further develop my sense of security within myself, which, I mean, it's not rocket science, but just to be crystal clear, you can't find security in someone else until you find it in yourself. In the last 2 years, I have committed to myself in really profound ways. I've been consistently running twice a week for I think 2 years now. I've been getting clearer on my physical health and how to actually take care of my body and brain. I've become debt-free, paying off over 20 grand of consumer debt. I'm in the highest paying job of my career. I have been consistent with counseling for the last 4 months, meeting with my therapist weekly. I've been accepted into a master's program, finally taking the plunge and trusting myself with this next level of learning and opportunity. And I've taken over the ownership of my dad's house with my brother, which is still unbelievable. Literally, we're still signing the paperwork, but what the heck? I've also made some financial changes, such as moving into a smaller apartment so that I could put that saved money towards amenities that would really improve my quality of life. These accomplishments do not tell the tale of low capacity and burnout. If I truly reflect on these accomplishments, I can see how much I can handle and how much my bandwidth has expanded. It's almost as though I got so used to labeling myself as burnt out that I missed realizing that I've actually healed in so many ways. My relationship with Brian is not only healthy and happy, but it also facilitates balance. And this is not a given. We will need to continue to nurture this balance when we live together. But I'm so grateful for the strong foundation that we've been building for the last 3 years. Someone can be stressed and anxious and burnt out and still accomplish great things. However, what I'm noticing in my own journey is that the way in which I navigate the world has completely shifted. My daily priorities have shifted. I'm letting go of stress quicker and quicker. My sleep is not being jeopardized by worry. I'm not bailing on myself like skipping a run or a gym session because I feel overwhelmed. I'm making time for rest, but I'm also leaning into connection and realizing that further isolating myself can actually perpetuate my feelings of stress and worry. It didn't come all at once, and it's still not something I'm considering perfect, but in the big picture, I have come a long way. An example that I will share is my daily routine, what it used to look like compared to what it looks like now, and I will also add where I want it to go. None of these are wrong ways of showing up, but they definitely demonstrate a progression. I used to wake up at 7 and give myself an hour and a half to ease into the day. I would drink coffee, read my book, scroll on Instagram. Now I'm waking up at 5:30, going to the gym for an hour and a half, coming home for the same reading and coffee and scrolling, but spending less time doing these as I'm prioritizing the gym. And there's no regrets with this because I almost got to the point where I'm like, okay, I am rested enough. I have had these like slow mornings to the point where I'm ready for more. And that was the point that I started to add in the gym and like reshift the morning routine. I used to put off a lot of my report writing for work and leave them until the last minute. And I'm now getting way better at staying on top of them to the point where I honestly look forward to writing them because I've shifted my thinking about like needing to do them. And I found myself being way more present throughout the process and seeing them as actually like helpful tools to my practice. And again, I just kind of got to the point where the discomfort was no longer serving me. Like the time I was, spending doing other things started to become uncomfortable because I knew that it was taking away from the quality of the report writing that I was doing. And like as soon as I started to see these as tools to my practice and tools for my clients to like better help them, I don't want to leave those last minute. I don't want to rush those. Like it all kind of builds on not only my experience in my job, but then the quality of service I provide to my clients. I used to not really prioritize dinner, and I would often use my evening job as an excuse as to why I wasn't eating well. And I'm now relying on a meal delivery service, Fresh Prep, for dinners, which has allowed me the ease of preparing a healthy meal and the satisfaction of knowing that I'm getting a proper meal that makes me feel satiated and energized. And this has been an experience of a financial shift where I had to like look at reprioritizing the money I'm spending on food. And for the longest time too, there was a lot of fear around the expense of a meal delivery service. And honestly, I spend $60 a week, and some weeks I skip, like if I'm not going to be home or whatever, like you can always skip, but $60 a week gets me 2 dinners, which I can actually spread into either 2 dinners and 2 lunches or 4 dinners because they're 2 servings each. And like, to me, it's just a no-brainer right now. Like that just is like an easy $60 to spend. And because I've shifted my finances around a little bit, like there's room for that. I used to feel like I was owed downtime in the evenings for like numbing out on TV. And I would end up staying up late to get my quota in, as I felt like this was the only time where I could truly unwind. And I'm still watching a show each night, but I've noticed that after one show or like one episode, I get excited to do my skincare and get into bed and FaceTime with Brian. And then I get to even do a little bit of reading. And lights out are like at 10 o'clock. Lights are out. I'm in bed. I am like fully satisfied. And I just started tuning into like the need shifting and how I slowly started to be like, you know what, I actually don't need this. I'm not like clinging on to this as hard as I once was. I do notice I still see my day-to-day as like a series of boxes that need to get checked. And so I'm hoping to get to a place where I can trust that I can maintain a routine and hit my goals and also be flexible and be more go with the flow. I want to find more space for social opportunities throughout the week, and I still find myself looking at my evenings as only being a couple of hours. And if I'm meeting up with friends or family, it's at a sacrifice of my nightly routine. I found a lot of safety in my routine, and although I'm looking for ways to expand and add more, I'm still keeping it boundaried. And for now, that's working. I definitely have experiences where I'm invited to something in the evening and I will go, but I don't necessarily go out of my way to like make these plans on my own yet. I'm still figuring out if I'm protecting this downtime as a response to former burnout or if I'm just building healthy habits that actually serve me. Right now, It could very well be a bit of both. I have also prioritized my nightly FaceTimes with Brian, and this will obviously shift when we are living together, but that 9 o'clock call is really important for the integrity of our relationship and just for, that opportunity to check in on a day-to-day basis. Being long distance, that's super important to us. So it wasn't until this morning that I realized how much healing I've actually done and how much I'm expanding. I'm currently in a very intense time of my life. There are big life events happening all around me. And what I noticed is that I'm okay. I'm actually okay. My ability to manage my stress is so much better than it once was. And I'm continuing to add things into my life and not shy away from living. I'm staying more present. I'm able to evaluate what I want to take on and what needs to wait. I'm honestly really proud of myself because I was the girl who would be doing big things and being so caught up in my anxiety that I wouldn't be able to be present and actually enjoy them. So it's really cool. My final note is that this is not a process I could have forced. I needed to go through the lows to get to this place of healing and expansion, which maybe sounds annoying, but truly, one couldn't have existed without the other. And I think the only advice I really have is if you're going through it, feeling like your capacity is so low and that you are more or less in survival mode, I would encourage you to think of 1 or 2 small ways that you could stay connected to your well-being and to consider how you might eventually build from that. Don't get ahead of yourself. Just first identify what's one thing I want to add. It might be waking up 30 minutes earlier to get some reading in or exercise or just quiet time. Or it could be sleeping in 30 minutes longer to be able to read longer before bed or get those extra Z's if that's what you need. I also firmly believe in accountability partners. If it wasn't for my running partner, I would not have been able to run as consistently as I have been. You may want to consider people or tools. There's apps that can support you towards achieving these changes. And start small. Just start with a little baby step. Healing is a journey, and I have so much gratitude for where I'm currently at and where I'm headed. Once again, this is Corie with the People Pleaser Podcast. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. And if you liked what you heard, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and a review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can find daily content from me on both Instagram and TikTok. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you on the next episode.